Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. How y'all doing on this fabulous Friday evening? Hope you are doing well. Our guest, JAMI Hart, she's just working on a couple technical jams here. So I figured I would jump on and just say what's up to you guys, kind of get the ball rolling on everything here. And hopefully we can get it all worked out. It looks like she is backstage. JAMI, can you give me a thumbs up if everything's working well for you? Hopefully she can hear me. It looks like she's playing around with a little bit. So let's say what's up here to everyone. Looks like she needs a minute. All right. We got Big Rod, one of our great channel members, kicking it here. Longest 30 minutes of my life. Well, that's what happens when you show up early, Big Rod. And then we got Paula Fitzhenry. What's happening, Paula? Chester Franklin Jr. in the house. How you doing, Chester? We have our great Patreon member and channel member, Trisha McMasters. What's happening, Trisha? And who else do we have rocking in the chat? Blu-ray Addict. How you doing, Blu-ray? Always a pleasure to see ya. Blue Wolf 87, our guy Gary hanging out. What's happening, Gare? Hope you are doing well. King Matthew the Third jumping in, says he hasn't seen the Evil Dead films, but he did watch the Ash versus Evil Dead series. And yes, Ash is totally badass. I think Kelly and Pablo are pretty badass as well in that show. They're a good match. It's tough to pair somebody with Ash and have them match that energy, but I think they did such a great job on that TV show. We got Trisha McMasters dropping a $1.99 super chat with some love for JAMI. Love seeing that. Who else do we have going on in here? Jordan Decker talking about dongs with Cody Snyder in Pat's chat room right now. You just love to hear it. You know what I mean? How you doing, Jordan? Hope all is well. Gory Tiger hanging out with us as well. Great to see you, Gory. Slasher Fred is talking about Saved by the Bell, because I think Big Rod's been watching Saved by the Bell. No more Saved by the Bell talk tonight, though. We are going to focus on the Evil Dead. Jigsaw, what's happening, Jigsaw? Long time no see. Hope you are doing well. What's happening, Ashton? Always great to see you, my guy. Cody Snyder, one of our original Death Squad mods and channel members. Hope you are doing well there, Cody. Adrian James, how you doing, Adrian? Always a pleasure to see you as well, my guy. Thank you so much for jumping on in. Boom, Dean Renner live from work. Hope you're having a good night out there, Dean. Hope all is well. Make sure to check out Dean's channel, Enter the Cinevault. I saw he just dropped a video about the Pooniverse, and in particular, the new Peter Pan Pooniverse movie. So I'm going to be checking that out once we are done here on this stream. Let's see here. Whoa, Happy Sanjo dropping in a $4.99. Says, much love, guy. Hyped for the stream. I am as well. And yeah, we'll just see. You know, JAMI, it looks like she's still working on stuff, but I will keep everyone entertained as best I can until then. And Koi's super chat of $4.99 gets us 1/5 of the way on our super chat goal to bring JAMI back for another film discussion. And let's see, guys, if we reach that goal, we'll let you guys decide what you want us to talk about. We could do a poll with everyone. You know, we could maybe talk about another horror franchise. We could also do something really fun. As you know, JAMI has seen a lot of movies in the theater. So we could have, like, you know, a stream where we talk about some of our favorite theater experiences, maybe movies that we saw at the theater 3 times or more. Like, for me, that's kind of a benchmark. There's like a handful of them that I can think of that I've seen 3 times or more in the theater. So that would be kind of fun. So let's see if we reach that goal, and then we can, you know, we can take the next steps there. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anyone else here who has jumped in. We got Tyler Adams. What's happening, Tyler? Hope you are doing well. Chud's Corner. Booyah. There we go. How you doing? Great to see ya. Slasher Fred says, I think what makes the original classic is how it was a teen horror movie, though the characters are college students and the only one to be a serious one. I mean, I think I think the newer movies are pretty serious. Evil Dead 2013 and Evil Dead Rise, for sure. What's happening, Brad? Oh my gosh, man. My Redskins are taking on your boys this week. It's going to be a bloodbath. Destination Station jumping in. How you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. JAMI, just can you give me a thumbs up if you're all good? I see you down there in the studio. Just let me know. Let's see here. What's happening, Matt? Great to see you. That is my big brother, Matt. Look at it. Look at how gorgeous he is in that picture. Look at that. That is that's a headshot if I ever saw one. You know what I mean, folks? So Trisha, for the super chat goal, it's going to be $5 super chats. Excuse me, $5 super chats or more. So technically, they allow the $4.99 to count there. So your super chat counts as far as I feel the love. I feel the love, Trisha. But yeah, for the goal, it would be $5. Hopefully, does it tell you guys what the goal? Like, what if you click on that super chat? Does it tell you what it is? I hope it does. I hope it does. And boom, Jigsaw dropping 5 says, here's number 2. No, not that number 2. Oh, love seeing that. There you go. Throwing some hail for the Redskins. Wayne Gottke in the chat. What's happening? Wayne says, good to see you tonight. Great to see you as well, Wayne. Thank you so much for jumping in, man. Really appreciate it. Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise is the one we saw in the theater. Yes, Matt, it is from 2023. I remember being like kind of bummed just because I really wanted it to be like as balls to the wall as 2013. I felt like it just didn't quite reach that, but you know, it's got its moments. All right, it looks like JAMI is all ready to go. So I'm going to do a couple magic things here before we bring JAMI in. So let's see. We're going to do let me bust the comment. Take the comment off there. Are you guys ready for JAMI? Let me know in the chat. Let's see some love for our original Death Squad mod, Miss JAMI Hart, and also a longtime channel member as well. I'm really pumped. This will be the second time we've had a channel member on the show. So guys, this is, you know, this community is about so much more than just having my name on the channel. This really is about you guys. So you know, let's continue to grow together and share the channel with other people that we think would dig this kind of content. While you're at it, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, leave a comment if you're watching this after the fact. Thank you so much. Real quick, JAMI, before I bring you in, boom, my brother Matt drops a $4.99 super chat. So we are 3/5 of the way to bringing JAMI back for more already. So let me work a little magic here. There we go. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do this. Oh, don't wait for it. It's still changing. Boom. We're going to do that. And are you guys ready for JAMI? Are you ready? Boom. There she is. Our original Death Squad mod.
Hi.
How are you doing, JAMI?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. I might even, let me see if I could bring down. Can you keep on talking?
I can turn it down.
I think we're pretty close. I think we're pretty close. Maybe just the tiniest bit, but I think we can make it work either way.
How's that? Is that better?
That sounds great. Yeah, that sounds great. And guys in the chat, if you guys need if you need her turned back up, because I'm such a loud bastard, you just let us know. Sweet JAMI, I'm really, you know, this is like the first time we've really talked. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, JAMI. This is the wild thing about YouTube, guys. You get to feel like you know somebody, and you might not have even ever seen them or talked to them before. So, JAMI, really quick before we get going, you know, I know that you've been, you know, part of the community for some time, and you know, I see you all over on the chats. Do you want to kind of give people a little bit of background on, you know, your YouTube experience and your you know, long-awaited imminent return?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. I started out on YouTube because I was a Twin Peaks fan. When I found out that season 3 was coming back, I was so excited. I came in here, I got right on YouTube, and I started talking to anybody I could about the show. And while the show was playing, I wasn't doing YouTube. I never, ever expected to ever be a content creator, not in a million years. Well, one of my friends that I was talking to, he actually was part of the reason why Twin Peaks season 3 actually came back, because him and his friend Joe, they made all of these posters with Cooper's face on it. That's the agent in it. And they said missing since 1992. And David Lynch got a wind of that, and he was like, you know what?
Mhm.
I'm going to call Mark Frost and see what's going on and see if he wants to work on it. Then they called Showtime, and Showtime picked it up, and it came back into being. And then after that, after the show ended, my friend asked me, do you want to come on my show and talk about Twin Peaks? And I said, sure. And I became a regular on that show. It was called Twin Peaks Coffee Time. Unfortunately, I found out just yesterday that that channel no longer exists because
Oh.
he got banned. I
Oh,
tried to warn
no.
him. I tried to warn him, you know, but you know how people are sometimes, they just don't listen.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
was on that show for 2 years, and in between there, I started talking with the Region Free guys. It wasn't Region Free at the time, and this is going to make you laugh. Okay. So, Region Free was once called the Sausage Factory. And I used to, yeah, I know. I followed my friend Cameron over there because he was on that channel. And I started watching it, and I didn't ever say anything in the chat. And this is why, because I thought it was just a guy show, and that, you know, they wouldn't like women or something, because it was called the Sausage
Oh,
Factory.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I asked them, they were talking Friday the 13th one night, and I finally, I couldn't hold it in anymore. And I typed out in the chat, hey guys, I'm a chick, and I really like horror movies, and I've been watching you guys for like a year now, and I'd really like to, you know, chat with you guys. Is it okay if women talk in the chat? And they were flabbergasted. They were like, what? You think women can't talk in the chat? And
Yeah.
then after that, I got to know them a little bit, and I became pretty good friends with Lauren Dixon. And he
Mhm.
asked them, you know, hey, do you guys want to do something different? We can change the name of the show to Region Free, and we can allow women into the show. And then he said, do you want to be
Mhm.
the first woman on the show? And I said, heck yes. So I became a Region
Nice.
Free member for 2 years. I did that for 2 years. And then I started to get sick. So once I started
Mm.
getting sick again, I started to get real tired, and I started missing shows. And the last show that I did was the one for Halloween Ends. So
Oh,
that was the
okay.
last show I did on Region Free, and that
And
was quite the show.
I get so confused about people's opinions on Halloween Ends. Are you a fan?
I love Halloween Ends.
That's what I thought, but I'd hate to get that wrong because people get very heated about Halloween Ends both
I
ways.
love Halloween Ends with all
Yeah,
my
me too.
heart. I
Yeah.
really do. It's so good.
Hell yeah. Well,
As a
before
matter of
we get
fact, oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was shocked when I came out of the theater like super pumped, you know, and I
Mhm.
come home and I get right on a stream, and I start telling everybody that I love it, and they're like, "What? It sucks." And then when I went on
Yeah.
Region Free, half of the crew in there was saying it sucked, and I'm like, "What? I didn't see it that way at all." I
That
liked it. I thought it was really good, and Corey turned out, in my opinion, to be one of the best characters in the series. So
Yeah, that's I watched it opening night and same kind of thing. I just had no one else's opinion to even know either way. Walked out of the
right,
theater and was just like, wow, that like might be the best one out of the three that they just did.
I loved it.
That
I
was like
loved
that
it.
was my first kind of blush. But yeah, real quick before we get going on the Evil Dead chat, I know I kind of cycled through some of these super chats that came through. I just wanted to highlight them again because holy crap, Jamie, as soon as you jumped into the chat, I don't know if you saw that, or as soon as you jumped onto the video, it just kind of blew up here. Trisha threw down a $4.99, said, raise your hand if you had a parent play Army of Darkness on repeat growing up. I had, my brothers would quote,
I saw
like,
it
give
in
me
the
some sugar,
theater.
baby. Yeah, I saw it in the theater. Did you go with your parents?
No, I was 21, or no, 20
Oh,
when it
okay.
came out. So yeah, I
Okay,
went
there
with
you
my
go.
at the time boyfriend. So
There you go. And then we got Happy Sanjo throwing a "We Love You, Jamie" $4.99 as well. Cody Snyder dropping a Mama Mod and your favorite, purple hearts there. Jigsaw dropping 5 onion rings for $5.
I
Dean
love onion
Renner
rings.
dropping a 10
Wow,
tenner. And
that's
yeah, I just
awesome.
wanted to catch up with those. The accent, it's your New York, right?
Yeah, well, Western New York. And
Western?
people
Yeah,
from
Western New York.
here, they say, "You don't sound like you're from here." It's true, I don't, I
Yeah.
don't. They all have, like, these really long A's.
Mm.
Fluvanna, they say Fluvanna, you know,
It
I don't really talk like that. I've always had my own bit of an accent, probably coming
yeah.
from, my my great-grandma speaking straight up Scottish.
Oh, there you go. I do know somebody from the Buffalo area, and I thought they were from like Michigan. I like that his accent reminded me of a Midwest accent. And I mean, like
Yeah.
Western New York isn't like that far regionally, but yeah, I totally get it. Like yeah, sometimes it's
Well,
tough to place that.
I kind of have a little bit of a Pennsylvania mixed in because I am 15 minutes from
Mm.
the PA line. I go across the border all the time. So, yeah. I kind of have a
There
little
you
bit of a
go.
PA thing mixed in there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's growing up where I grew, I don't know what the hell my accent is. Like, there's no Alaskan accent, so to me, it's just like the most basic like West Coast accent. Like, it's just like California, Oregon, Washington. It's just there. It's almost like no accent. I feel
Right.
like
You
it's just
sound
flat.
normal to me. Yeah. I've been waiting to
I
tell you
sound like a
this.
surfer. Yeah.
I've been waiting to tell you this until we saw it, like we're face to face. My cousin was born in Alaska.
Oh wow. Whereabouts?
Yeah. She was in Anchorage.
Anchorage. That's
Yeah,
the
my
big
my
city.
uncle my uncle was in the army there, and he
Oh,
was
okay.
stationed there for a while. And also, I mean, they were been stationed other places, but that is where she
Yeah.
was literally born. So I
Yeah,
kind of
that's
thought that was
how
a cool thing.
my family ended up there because my dad was a commander in the Coast Guard. So
Oh
that's
wow.
how we ended up there. But yeah, all my siblings, I'm the youngest of five, and everyone, like, I was born in Connecticut, but everyone else was kind of born all over. So, I became a Redskins and Capitals fan and all that because my siblings were in Bowie, Maryland when the, Orioles and Redskins were really good in the early 80s, like right around when I was born. Yeah, it's wild. And you know what's
Yeah,
wild? We got 29 people kicking it with us, Jamie. You really bring the numbers. Let me tell you that.
that's awesome.
You
I
bring
was
the
hoping
super
for more.
chats too.
I
Hey,
guess
you know
so.
what? It is early. It is early. We really haven't even started talking about the topic, but I was hoping what we could kind of, I feel like everyone here on the channel has heard my Evil Dead story like 5 or 6 times, depending on how often they jump in. So what I'd like to have you do is just kind of give me your background on, when you first saw these movies and, what made you fall in love with this franchise. And then we can kind of talk about each individual film.
Okay. Um, well, the first time that I ever saw Evil Dead, the reason I went and I rented it was because of Nightmare on Elm Street. I had watched Nightmare on Elm Street
Yes.
with my boyfriend. Funny, that's the same boyfriend that I went to see uh, Army of Darkness with, but way years apart. And the middle was we didn't see each other. So it was kind of weird
Oh,
how that
wow.
happened.
Okay. So
But
Evil Dead brought you back together. It was a bookended.
pretty much, yeah. So I saw that and I was like, "Hey mom, I really want to watch this movie Evil Dead." And she's like, "All right." So we went and we got the movies and I brought it home and I watched it and I fell in love immediately. What got me was
Hmm.
watching Nancy watch it, and it was the part where
Hmm.
all the shutters were going crazy and the clock was going
Yeah.
crazy, and I was like, "Wow, I really want to see that." So I got to watch it that first time and I was floored when I saw the tree
Yeah.
thing. I was floored. I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. My mom was like, just calm down. And I was like, this is awful. Cause I thought, oh my God, that is terrible for me to be seeing at 12. Cause I was 12 at the time.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty intense. I mean, at 12, you
Right.
might even, at 12, I wouldn't have even known like what was really happening. I would be like, what
Yeah.
is this? Like, what the hell
Well,
is this going on?
I'm the oldest of 5.
Yeah. And
So I knew what was
yeah.
happening,
And
you
it's
know?
probably different when you're a 12-year-old lady. There is probably a little bit more awareness of that kind of thing, where a 12-year-old boy is like Ninja Turtles still at 12,
Right. Right. I saw that and I was like, "Oh my God." But then I realized, well, I love that. because
Mhm.
I like movies and stuff that take a lot of risks, and I felt that was a really, really risky thing. And
Yeah.
then I also noticed that Sam Raimi was a little different because the way that he did shots, his cinematography, the
Yeah.
when the camera is moving through the woods and it's like you're the evil because it's the evil's perspective. I thought that
Yeah.
was genius. I thought that was
Mhm.
genius. So I really fell in love with that movie. And that's why when Evil Dead 2 came out, I was like, I went to the theater that first weekend and saw it. I saw pretty much
Nice.
everything the first weekend back then though, because I spent every weekend at the mall. I had to spend my
Yeah.
babysitting money on something, you know.
Yeah, and movies weren't even like, it seems like now they're relatively expensive. Like, it's, of course everything goes up in price, but it seemed like back then it was really easy. My parents would just like throw me $5 and I could go see a movie. It wasn't as big of like oh geez, like, and I've never been like a snacks at the movie guy. So I didn't need extra money for any of that expensive. Like, to me, that was the expensive stuff back in the day. I mean, it still is, but
Right.
yeah, it was so much easier in the 80s and 90s just to go catch a movie, like no big deal, you
Yeah, it
know?
was only $2.50 to go see a
Hmm.
movie at a matinee back then. And I saw a
Yeah.
lot of matinees because, of course, I was still too young to date at that time. I didn't start dating till
There
1988. So,
you go.
um, but yeah, basically that's how I came into knowing of Sam Raimi and knowing of Evil Dead was just seeing it on Nightmare on Elm Street and being curious and
Hmm.
watching it. I had known I'd skipped it so many times before because I used to have HBO back then, and I've watched a lot of things on HBO that I shouldn't have probably seen at that age. But I skipped that one because I thought it was going to be too scary for me. But it
Okay.
turns out it wasn't. It wasn't too scary for me. I actually fell in love with it. It's because of Sam Raimi and the way that he films things. I just
Yeah.
love that whole perspective of
Hmm.
the being the evil and then go like running through the woods like that. It was genius. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one thing that stood out to me when I watched that first film. And I guess we can just kind of dive in and start talking about that very first film here. It was so avant-garde, so different. I had never seen a movie like it before. I had never seen anything that seemed, I was so into punk rock, and I always say this about The Evil Dead. To me, that original film is the most punk rock film of all time. And yeah, a movie can be punk rock because it just sort of, there's this reckless abandon about it, and
Yeah.
there's this gritty charm. Like, one of the things I love about punk rock is that it doesn't have to be so polished. And certainly the very first Evil Dead, I mean, they get more polished as they go. But that very first one is, very grimy. And
It's very rough, but I loved it.
yeah. And you could sit there and say, oh, these effects are bad. But at the same time, you're like, well, how big's the crew? Like, actually, I think the things that they accomplished there with the gore effects are really inventive and really exciting and like crazy, almost cartoony, but not in a funny way, at least in that first film.
Right.
And the stop motion at the end of the film is gorgeous. I mean, the music and the sound design in the original Evil Dead is like an assault on your senses.
Right.
Um, yeah, there's so much to love there. And really, like, yeah, the first time I watched it, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was like, what the hell is this going to be? Are my friends going to be like, what are you making? Because I just had a guy on ICQ that I chatted with in high school told me that I should watch the movies. And so that was my experience. So I didn't even see the original Evil Dead. It was probably like 97, something like that,
Oh,
when I
wow.
first was. And it's funny, I had no idea. I knew what Army of Darkness was because, like I was saying, my brothers would, they would quote it and everything. So I knew what it was. I saw bits of it on like the USA Network or something like that. Had no idea it was related to Evil Dead because Evil Dead isn't in the title. So,
Right.
and then once I realized, oh shit, that's the same thing, it kind of blew my mind on that one. So yeah, man. And ever since then, it was one of those things where it was like once a year, I was like, the last couple of years of high school or whatever, hosting like an Evil Dead night where we would watch all the movies on VHS back to back to back, and people could like come and go as they wanted in the house. So it became sort of like a celebration, and I think that's one of the really cool things about, you know, when we're talking about what makes it like a cult classic. I think that's one of the things that's like a hallmark of a cult classic, is like people holding parties, kind of like an exclusive group, but that exclusive group celebrates it so damn much.
Right. For me, it was less about like doing it with my friends, you know, watching it with my friends, but more like with my brothers. Me and my brothers
Mm,
bonded over movies all the time. We still do. We still bond over all these movies. Almost everything that I saw in the theater, aside from when I go with my friends, my brothers were
yeah.
usually there. Um, and that was one that Mark, when I rented that, my oldest brother Mark, he was like,
Hmm.
oh my god, can I watch it with Jamie, can I watch it with Jamie? And my mom was like, I don't know, you're gonna get in trouble you're gonna get me in trouble with your dad, you know, because
Yeah.
my brother Mark actually at the time lived with my dad and I lived with my mom. That's a long story, but um
Hmm.
she was like, I don't know, you're awfully young, because he was only like 10 at the time, maybe
Yeah.
9 even. But he watched it and he was totally cool about it, just like I was. And we fell in love with it because what I really like, it starts out where they're all in the car and they're all just
Hmm.
singing. And I'm like, what is going on here? I got to talk about that car too. That
Oh, the
car,
classic.
that's a, yes, it's a 73
Hmm.
Oldsmobile Delta 88. That is the same exact car that he uses in Spider-Man that
Hmm.
Cliff Robertson drives
Yeah.
in that movie. That's the
He
same exact car.
he tries to work it. I think he tries to work it in every movie.
He
Like
does.
I would imagine it's in most of his movies. And even in the 2013 film, they have it, you know, buried in moss and, you know, all that kind of stuff,
I
which is yet,
love that.
yeah, just a yet another reason to prove that even though it's called Evil Dead, it is not a sequel, or it's not a remake. It is a sequel. You know, and yeah, that classic, that Delta's gorgeous. I love, yeah, all the been gone 6 months and
Yeah.
like, and they're drinking their moonshine. And
Yeah.
then when Bruce is like, look out, his head is like outside of the car for
And
some
she
reason.
goes,
It's so
ah,
silly.
the window like
Yeah.
this. I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my God, it's so funny. I just watched these movies actually this week because I wanted to make sure I was, you know, fresh. It was all fresh in my mind. I have not seen Evil
Hmm.
Dead Rise though, so we can't talk about that one yet.
Okay. Okay.
It'll have
No
to be another.
worries. Yeah,
Um,
Evil Dead Rise, it's definitely worth a watch. It's certainly like, you know, I've probably seen it 3 times. And I think the last time I watched it was the time that I enjoyed it the most. I actually, it was a Dave McRae, like, I think it might have been a members only like watch party. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll have more fun, like kicking it in the chat with some people.
right.
But yeah, I mean, Evil Dead Rise is good. I wish I did want it to push things a little bit further. But it does like a good job of kind of hitting all the points. One of the really cool things is that it basically explains that there's a new book in Evil Dead Rise, but it explains that that book, the book from 2013 and the book from the original trilogy, all exist. They're just different volumes of the same
Oh,
book. So that sort of ties the universe together. It's not like alternate, you know, universe. It's just one solid universe. So that kind of opens up the possibilities for the other sequels, you know, because right now there's already one in pre-production and they've already decided on, I believe they've decided on another filmmaker that's going to do the other film, but they just don't have anything else on
they're
that
gonna call
one.
that Evil Dead Burn, right?
That's the one that Sebastian Vanacek is doing. And then it looks like in April 2024 is announced that a spin-off film is currently in development. Francis Galuppi will serve as writer and director. There's no title or anything, but it's the untitled 7th film is just what they're calling it on Wikipedia. So I pulled up that page just so I could verify a couple things as we chat here.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'll let you do that because I'm terrible, obviously terrible with tech. My camera was not even plugged in.
oh geez.
I
Well,
don't even
what
know.
can you do? You know?
I can't, I don't even remember unplugging it. So I have no idea what happened there, but I'm glad finally did get here.
Yeah, no, it's all working great, and it's fine too because sometimes it's kind of like I thought I was going to bring us both on at the same time, and it's like, but it is sort of cool to jump on and just sort of warm up the chat here and say hello to everyone and all that, and not have you just have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs while I say hello. And yes, like Coy says, we all have technical difficulties.
Yes.
Some more than others.
Yes. You'll find that I can probably talk more than you. Everybody's like, I always end up talking over people because my brain is always going so fast that I'm like, I got to get it out before it goes away.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And the good thing about this is it's just the two of us. And the way I roll with the guest is because I talk so damn much, like I will always yield the floor to you. So if I start talking over you or you talk over me, just keep on going.
I knew your channel was going places. I could tell right away. I was like, this guy is a talker, and he's got charisma, and he's interesting and he's funny. So I was like, I really like this channel. So I started following your channel. I think you had 300 subs at the time. So
yeah, it must have been really early on because you were, I know that you've been there for, that was probably just right about a year ago because I broke 300 on New Year's Eve last year. I mean, two years ago now, or 2023. But yeah, it's one, like, this is just the kind of guy I am, and I can talk about, like, whatever I'm passionate about, I can stream of consciousness just go. And so it was one of those things where, especially after, really falling in love with, what somebody like Dave McCrae can do, and there's, there are others out there like him, I was like, man, I feel like there's a lot of similarities there. Like, clearly Dave has all this great, experience in the industry as well. But I was like, man, there's some similarities in there as far as, like, we can just pick a topic and, as long as we're passionate about it, just talk about it forever. So I very much appreciate that. I try my best to be charming. Sometimes it's like you can just be having a terrible day, and then you're just like, get in front of the camera, and it's like none of that stuff matters anymore. And it's just all about hanging out with you guys. So I think that's one of the best things for me that I've gotten out of YouTube is, I mean, the community has been amazing, but really it's like what you guys do as far as just being able to lift my spirits and giving me that healthy escape. So thank you so much for being around for so long. And I know you're a YouTube lifer, so I extra appreciate it. And the praise means so much coming from someone such as yourself.
Hey, I like I said, I knew it immediately, and I'm glad all these people have found you. And I feel like maybe I brought a few of these people in,
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they trust you because you've been around.
Yeah. And some of the people that I know that come in here definitely used to watch me on Region Free. And nice. a lot of them that are in here tonight even have watched me on my own channel. I know Gypsy's in here. He's the one that's called Beep Bop Boop. That's my friend Gypsy.
Okay.
Nice. He used to watch me on Coffee Time. So I've known that a long time.
Hell yeah.
If it's a he, could be a she.
You never know. You never know with a screen name like that, right? You'll have to let us know, Beep Bop Boop.
Yep.
So, moving on from, like, we can jump on over to, I mean, unless there's anything you want to say more about that original film before we jump onto, a very interesting change in the franchise. But I mean, what's really cool about that original trilogy is each one of these movies are different, subgenre of horror. Right. But is there anything, what have we missed? I mean, you talked about the tree thing. That's the big one. Maybe we can talk some favorite moments in the movie before we move on to talking about Evil Dead 2. We could do something like that.
I love the part where his girlfriend gets possessed and she takes the pencil and she shoves it into, or is that his sister? I don't remember which one it is, but no, it's his sister.
She gets, Shelly does it to Linda.
Right. She shoves the pencil in her ankle, and that is so gnarly. Oh my God. Yes. It's so gnarly. But I love it. It's and her whole, that woman, I can't remember her name. But the character,
they all have like fake names. Yeah.
Yeah. She is so amazing. She's such a good actress. And I was super happy to see that she ended up being in Ash vs. Evil Dead because, I wasn't sure how they were going to connect all that with the movie being the second movie being sort of like a reboot which at the time reboots were not really a thing. So I don't remember if they called it a reboot back then, but I thought that was pretty cool. I also really like the gnarly effects when the girl's face is melting and she's melting all on the floor. I can't think of her name. Was that one?
That's Cheryl. Shelly is the sister. That's Ellen Sandweiss that plays the sister, Shelly. And then, or wait, no,
I think
you're right. Cheryl's the sister because he's like, it's your sister Cheryl. Yeah. So Shelly is. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go for it. No, go for it.
I'm super nervous, so I'm probably going to talk a lot more because I haven't done this in like a year. So
you're doing great. Guys in the chat, show Jamie some love. She doesn't have to be nervous. Let's make her feel comfortable, okay?
I love you, chat people. I really like that part where she's like melting and her eyeballs are bulging out, and I was like, this is some gnarly stuff. Now in 4K, it doesn't look quite as good, as it did back in the day. It looked really, really good back in the day, but now it's like, well, that's a little bit, it looks, you can tell when there's shemps.
Even on the, I'm happy. So Blu-ray is pretty much as far in quality I go, but I still have my DVDs that like, they still have that grit and that grain. And yes, Shelly's death scene. I mean, they do like that double vocal thing. So when she's screaming, there's like two voices going on and there's like an octave. And then because that's the one where they put the arm behind and like stabs like through the back and all that, and the milk starts coming out and
so gross. I don't know why they had
it's just
one with the cream corn too. The cream corn.
Yes.
There's one part
coming out of the sleeve. Yes. That's during the whole like stop motion kind of thing. Yeah.
That's just so gross. Really smart of them to use cream corn, but it's obvious it's cream corn. So I think that's funny. But that kind of ties into the whole David Lynch, Garmin Bozia thing. So I kind of like that. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there.
I don't. No, I don't.
That's part of the Twin Peaks. That's a Twin Peaks thing.
Okay.
It's Garmin Bozia. Is represented by cream corn, and Garmin Bozia is pain and suffering. Basically.
Oh, okay.
And so the lodge entities eat it.
Yeah, and
you gotta watch Twin Peaks.
I know. I gotta catch up on all that. What's happening, Wilkie? How you doing? The one of my favorite, so a couple favorite moments for me. I do love for me, it really is just like very small moments that really stand out. I love the shot of the camera that goes across the rafters. And they have that sound effect that's like the whoop, 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 whoop. Like that kind of stuff is like some of the Sam Raimi shit where I'm like, that's really clever. I mean, obviously the steady cam is really fun too. But what really stands out to me, like in a large point on the original Evil Dead, is the movie is like a classical piece of music where it has like this very slow kind of burn at the beginning, and then it reaches these very high like peaks and crescendos, and then sometimes like right after one of the deadites gets chopped up, it falls down to like dead quiet. So it really plays with this whole like up and down kind of thing. Like it really yanks you around. And I love that so much about the original Evil Dead. And I'm trying to think of another moment that really stands out to me. I'm just gonna roll with those right now. It's
another one that I like a lot is when Cheryl's in the basement and she's like slamming on the door and she's making fun of Ash by making a like mocking tone and saying Ash or whatever. I like that a lot. She's a really good actress. I really enjoy her whole performance. And obviously Bruce Campbell is, man, I love him. I love him so much. I'd like to meet him.
And he's it's interesting in the first film how he doesn't even seem like the main character until the very end. Like until Scotty gets turned, you think that Scotty's the main guy. He's the one that chops up his own girlfriend once she turns. He's the one that's taking charge. He's the one that's got more personality even. I think Ash is sort of like a reserved guy, like doesn't want to rock the boat and doesn't want to do too much. But it's like when Cheryl decides she wants to, leave and everything, like Ash is like, sure, whatever you want to do. Like we'll go ahead and do that. But really he's, he really doesn't become like Ash, the Ash that we know until like halfway through Evil Dead 2. you know?
Right, right. I was thinking about that too when I was watching the movies the other day. I was like, yeah, it's different. He's different in one. He's more
Hmm.
he seems more calm and thoughtful and sweet, which we
Hmm.
all know that by the time he gets to Army of Darkness, he's like, give me some sugar, baby. So,
Yeah.
you know, the part where he gives her the necklace, I love that part so
Yeah.
much. I had that necklace before. That is an Avon
Oh,
necklace.
really?
That
Oh,
yes, the
wow.
box and that necklace, I had that as a kid. I
Wow.
my aunt sold Avon, and so I had that necklace, and I used to wear that necklace all the time, but mine was gold, not silver.
Okay.
But I recognized that right away when I watched it as a kid. I'm like, "Oh, that's I have that necklace in my jewelry box." My mom's like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Yes, I do." And I went upstairs and I got it out and I showed it to her. She's like, "Oh," because that was a present from my dad and my stepmom for Christmas. So I thought
And
that was cool.
I think they might have even, so it might have been the same exact one. I remember on a commentary they said that they painted it. Maybe because the silver would catch light more, because you can, the next time you watch the movie, if you see the paint is like rubbed off on like Ash's fingers. There's like a close-up shot of it, and you can see that some of the silver coloring is on the fingers that are holding it. So it might have been just,
Maybe they
yeah, catch the light a
only
little bit
came in gold.
more. Yeah,
Maybe they only
something
came
like
in
that.
gold when they
So
painted it. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I do
but
like,
yeah.
really quick before we move on, one scene, like the Cheryl's transformation, like the whole, like when
Oh,
they're trying to guess the cards, and she's like the Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, and
oh,
she's,
I love
like the
that.
floating scene and all, like that's like, I love that shit so much, just like taunting them. And that's probably my favorite aspect of the Deadite, which is like, when people talk about Jason Goes to Hell and they're like, is Jason a Deadite? It's like, absolutely not. He is not a Deadite, because one of the hallmarks of Deadites is the in and out of possession, because they want to toy with the emotions of the person, the other people involved. And Deadites talk. There's no, I
Right.
don't think we've ever had a Deadite that doesn't talk. At least like
Well,
not in.
Jason didn't exactly start out as normal. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he was already I don't know if you've ever heard the interview with Betsy Palmer when she's talking about that, but she asked what's his name? The
Hmm.
special effects guy.
Tom Savini.
That's it. She
Yeah.
asked him, does he look like that? And Tom Savini's like, well, because he's a mongoloid. And she's like, what? 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 But then she said that helped her because it made her understand more and made her feel more connected to this
Mm,
motherly instinct and protective
sure.
instinct, which added to the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, and that there would be something about Jason that would be, sympathetic, and that you would understand that why she, you know, why it's more than just losing a kid to a drowning, it's losing a kid that was disadvantaged, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so yeah, guys, we can just close the book on that. Jason is not a Deadite. They just wanted to have the Necronomicon and the dagger in the movie. Yeah, and yes, they are the same ones. They are. I think
Yeah,
they're the ones from Evil Dead 2, if I'm correct.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah.
yeah. And then, so, I mean, moving over to Evil Dead 2, I think the reason why they had to sort of recap the first movie is, I mean, number one, I don't think a lot of people had seen it. It was even more underground at that time. I don't think they were able to retain the rights. I think the people that financed the original Evil Dead technically had the rights. So if they wanted to sort of do like a last time on Evil Dead, they just decided, well, in the first like 15, 20 minutes, we're just going to sort of like do a quick remake where it's just Ash and Linda, and that kind of catches us up. So you can sort of, I think it was K-Rock says, I watched the first film as a one and done. It's self-contained. Yes. If I'm watching the franchise, I start it too. So yeah, that's kind of the way to
That
go. And
makes
then
sense.
watch the remake. But K-Rock, it's not a remake. Think about, I know you may have missed that earlier in the chat, but if you think about it, it really is just a sequel that exists within the same universe. It just has a very similar name. So I just think of it as something ancillary, but still part of the original canon of films.
If I remember right, back then Sam Raimi called it a reboot. He called it a
Yeah.
reboot. And I
Yeah.
remember that he said in an
Evil Dead
interview
2, you
that
mean? Or
Evil Dead
Or
2. Yeah.
2013? Okay,
No,
Evil Dead
no,
2.
not
Okay.
20, Evil Dead 2. And I remember
Okay.
him saying that he felt like the first movie was great and a success for
Mhm.
him, but he wanted to be able to make the special effects better. So
Yeah.
that was part of it too. He wanted to recreate what he did before with better effects, which it worked
Mhm.
out well, I thought. Even though I still like the first movie's effects a lot and I thought they were great.
Yeah.
I really thought that the beginning of Evil Dead 2, it makes sense. And I remember going to the theater to see that, and I was with my friend Marge, and she looks at me and she goes, why are they redoing the whole like first movie in like 10 minutes? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because back then you
Yeah.
didn't get news like you do now. You know, you get news right away
No.
now. Now it's
And
always like right away,
well,
right away. But back then you had to get Fangoria, you know, to find out
and
anything.
Fangoria would just be highlighting the effect. They wouldn't be talking about like the dispute over rights. It would be like
Right.
the effects and how horror fans are excited to see the return of evil. It would be all the splashy stuff, you know, because nowadays we're just inundated and surrounded by information. So yeah, we
Right.
end up knowing all those little things. But as far as I can remember, that's the way it went down. And I don't think they ended up getting the rights back until, well, I think even when they went to Ash versus Evil Dead, I think they had lost the rights to Army of Darkness. So they were able to go back to Evil Dead 1 and 2, but not able to reference or show anything from Army of Darkness. So it's been this weird thing. Maybe now they've got it all wrapped up. I'm not sure, but I love so much, and I know I say this on the channel all the time, I love that Sam, Rob, and Bruce still have the rights to the franchise and that they get to steer the ship. I think that's the most important thing for consistency.
Now back there, I have my Evil Dead box set.
Yes.
That does not come with Army of Darkness for that very reason. It doesn't come with it. I was disappointed. I was like, oh man. So I had to go to Scream Factory and buy the 4K separately. And that's sitting back here too. But I wish that the whole thing could have been cohesive in one box. But
they'll have to put it together, and yeah, they'll have to put it together, and then when that happens, Frank's Media and Reviews here will cover the unboxing and show it all off to us.
I feel bad. I'm taking up all the time, and the chat is getting no time. I'm sorry, you guys. I am such a like windbag.
This is kind of how it goes, though, when you have a guest on and you're talking a topic. Even if I can't reference all the chats, guys, you know, I do want to. I'll pop them up and everything, and I think you guys understand. Like, I love interacting with the chat, but this isn't just a solo Davey show. When it's a solo Davey show, you guys get everything. Of course, if you want to make sure that a question gets answered, you want to make sure your chat gets read, you can always drop a super chat, even if it's just a buck. Like, I'll throw you love. Like, I ain't greedy about it. But yeah, when it's active like this, sometimes we just got to roll that way. And, you know, so speaking of Evil Dead 2, Ryan brings up here, did you guys know that Sam Raimi's brother Ted played the possessed Henrietta in Evil Dead 2? Yeah, that's one of it. That's like his first big time. I've seen the behind the scenes where he takes like the shoes off and like dumps them, and it's like all this sweat. It's so gross. It is so gnarly.
It is so gross. The reason why Ted Raimi was in Twin Peaks, and the reason why was because he saw him as Henrietta. David Lynch saw him as Henrietta and loved it. And David Lynch really loved Sam Raimi and loved all his movies. So
I bet.
I thought that was a nice little tie-in with Twin Peaks there. As you can see, I'm freaking obsessed with. Look at that blanket back there. I made that.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, and I think that's the kind of the thing. Like, you know, those like auteurs, those guys that are sort of like on the outside of the mainstream, I think they, you know, really do appreciate each other. I mean, the Coen brothers worked on the original Evil Dead films, and, you know, it's like those are guys that they knew before they had their own film careers, but also guys that are pretty unique, you know, in their own way as well. You know, maybe not as off kilter, but not too far off, you know, from the likes of, Lynch and Raimi.
That reminds me, we didn't mention the Hills Have Eyes posters in the basement.
In the original. Yes.
Yeah. And so that's why Evil Dead was in Nightmare on Elm Street, because they had this thing going back and forth. And then when in 2, if you look above the door, there's Freddy's glove is hanging above the door to the shed where he chops her up. And I remember seeing that in the movie theater, and I pointed that out. That was before anybody really realized that it was there. And I pointed that out to my friend Marge. She's like, oh my God, yeah, you're right, there it is. And that was like, if you knew that back then, you were like super special, because nobody really knew that back then.
Yeah, and you know, I just wanted to shout out Gloom Cookie 023. I think this is your first time in the chat, so everyone in the Death Squad, make Gloom Cookie 023 feel welcome. She says, hi. Kids these days will never know what it's like to have to wait to watch your favorite stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you had to wait. And if something was on TV, like when I was a kid, when they would do reruns of like the Incredible Hulk TV show, I was like, I have to be home at 2 o'clock on Saturday because this show was coming out before I was born. And so that's the only way you could get like any comic book, you know, on screen kind of action other than renting like VHS cartoons and stuff. So we do totally live in a, you know, it's so much easier to get that quick satisfaction. But really quick, Jamie, so you had mentioned the Hills Have Eyes poster. Do you know why the Hills Have Eyes poster is in the original Evil Dead?
Not for sure. I thought it was just that he liked Wes Craven's movies. So
it is in there because in the Hills Have Eyes, there's a torn poster of Jaws. And Sam Raimi took it as he was, or either maybe Wes said it in an interview or Sam's like just assumed this, but he thought that it was Wes like saying Jaws is just pop horror, like my movie's real horror. And then Sam was like, your movie's not horror, my movie's real horror. And then and then it was like this really like friendly kind of back and forth and all that just like kind of kept on going.
Yeah, I didn't know
I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit.
Wow.
It's either, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I don't think it's Last House on the Left. I don't think because that was before Jaws, right? That was like 74, 70, something like that.
72 or 1.
Oh, okay. 72.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. That movie's oh my God. That movie makes the tree scene seem like nothing.
Right. Yeah. I didn't see that until
it's very good.
Older.
Yeah, it's very effective, but it is very disturbing, the original Last House on the Left. Now Chester and Coy are talking about loving Evil Dead 2 more than the first one, and that's how I was the very first time I saw the first 3 movies were the only ones that existed when I got into the series, and I felt the same way. Evil Dead 2 was hilarious. It was just easier to kind of sink your teeth into right away. And yeah, and then I slowly started realizing, oh no, it's the dirtiness of the original that I really, really love.
Yeah, I mean, I like the original. I don't think I like it better than the second one. And I discovered in my recent rewatch that I actually love Army of Darkness best. I think that's my favorite one of the series. But we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, I did want to, you were talking about the effects in Evil Dead 2. I do think this is when they sort of like kind of hone in like the Deadite look. Like in the first one, the Deadites are sort of just kind of like whatever they could do with that particular actor's face and the appliances they could put on. But Evil Dead 2 is sort of where they're like, we'll do the pronounced brows, like even that look he even brought into like the Doctor Strange movie he directed, where there's a moment at the end where Doctor Strange looks a lot like a Deadite to me. And they've sort of kept that. So it is kind of where we really start like canonizing like the look and those little bits of humor
and Ash's character.
Yes, that's a huge one
because he changes a little bit between 1 and 2. He becomes more sassy, and that's what I love about Ash's character. He's so sassy and kind of a, I don't want to say like he's kind of a butthead in a way.
Sort of, yeah. He's like, after all, I'm a man and you're a woman, at least the last time I checked. Like, he's got a little bit of that. Yeah, just kind of cheesy.
I love that. It's so funny. Also, that movie, Henrietta, is just freaking awesome. Ted Raimi is so good, and that costume he's wearing is amazing. And I don't know, did they have Shemps in 2 like they did in 1? Because we didn't really talk about Shemps.
Yeah, they probably did. I don't know. And they might have even just considered stuntmen Shemps in that one. Because I think usually, in all the movies, they list fake Shemps. So sometimes it might even just be like a thank you that they just want to give to somebody and they throw it in there.
I had to explain to my son what Shemp was. He's like, "What's Shemp?" He didn't even know what the Three Stooges was, so it was
yeah. Yeah, and that's, you know, speaking of Evil Dead 2, which is, you know, what we're on right now, it's very, very Three Stooges heavy. Like it is, you know, it's really cool that, you know, the first film is a straight up horror, third movie is pretty much a straight up comedy, and Evil Dead 2's right in the middle. It's this perfect mix of, you know, the Three Stooges and the horror. And I wanted to bring up really quick Pete Spencer. Pete, I feel like I recognize your little icon there, but maybe you've only been here a couple times. Just wanted to give you a shout out. Welcome back. He says the first one was great, but disturbing. Dead by Dawn was comedic enough to break the tension. Yeah, I think that is why it's kind of like a fan favorite, that Evil Dead 2, I would say.
And a lot of people, it was actually their first Evil Dead movie, because a lot of people didn't really even know about the Evil Dead, you know. I mean, if you were a hardcore horror fan like I was, you knew about it. But if you weren't really a hardcore horror fan, you most of the time didn't know about it. It cracks me up when he starts losing it. He starts going crazy. Ash does, and he starts laughing uncontrollably, and all of the stuff in the room starts coming to life, and that lamp is going up and down like this, and that
he does the up and down with the lamp.
Yeah, and then they laugh. That reminds me of cartoons. It's like Sam Raimi must have been so inspired by stuff like Tom and Jerry. And, you know, other cartoons that like Yosemite Sam and some of the other stuff I watched as a kid that was so violent. It was really violent. Those cartoons were super violent. Roadrunner, stuff like that. You can tell that he was really influenced by that. And he put that in there, and I was like, this is like right out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon. I love it.
Well, and even I think some of those cartoons that were like before that, like you know, like old like Felix the Cat, or like maybe not quite Steamboat Willie, but like those Popeye cartoons where you know, where inanimate objects would like come to life, and they were just like, you know, super silly and everything. You know, the deer head on the wall. That's like whenever I see a deer head in a horror movie, I just think I'm just like, oh, that's an Evil Dead reference. You know, I just always think of that. And yeah, I do love, you know, Ash kind of losing his shit. You know, he's got, oh, did we lose you, Jamie? Did you knock the microphone out?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, my camera please died for me. I don't know why. If I
maybe just
my kid again, he's gonna be so mad at me.
Maybe just try unplugging it and replugging it in and see if that works. I'll go ahead and hit up some chats here while we're in the interim.
Let me go out and come back in, because I actually have to climb. I'm only 5 feet tall, and I can't reach it, so I have to get my son. Hold on.
No worries. I'll hold down the fort.
Okay, and you'll have to let me back in when I come back.
Yes, absolutely. I'll see you here. So just use that same link.
Okay.
All right, guys. Jamie will be back. In the meantime, Happy Sanjo gifted 1 Davey Deathray channel membership, and Denise Wheat got that channel membership. Maybe Denise will jump into the chat and say what's up to us. Let's see here. I know I gotta watch Twin Peaks. I know, K-Rock. I haven't ever seen those. I know I'm totally missing out. There's a lot I haven't seen. And the things that I've seen, I watch a lot because I'm a big time rewatcher and I'm a comfort kind of guy. Brent Reef, what's happening? I think this might be your very first time jumping in. You're hanging out with the Death Squad, bud. Everybody make Brent feel welcome. And I'm guessing Trisha told him to come on in here. Let's see here. Second movie is more or less of a remake. Yeah, it's what they wanted to do the first time around, but no money. Yeah, and it's, you know, of course, you know, they just had to sort of retell that beginning part just to kind of catch us up there. We do have Herbert Geddes in the chat. How you doing, Herbert? Great to see ya. Let's see here. My brother is here. He's a big Evil Dead fan. So that's Trisha's brother. I love it. I love the family connection. My brother Matt was in the chat earlier. He might still be there. My sister Heather jumped in as well to say hello really quick. Hopefully she's still watching. Don't you goddamn leave out we are not The only one we can't talk about tonight, RC Colorado, and by the way, welcome to the chat. You're kicking it with the Death Squad. Everybody make RC Colorado feel very welcome. The only one we can't talk about tonight because JAMI hasn't seen it is Evil Dead Rise. But we're going to cover all the other films in the franchise. And because you guys met the super chat goal, we are going to bring JAMI back for another film discussion. So we'll do a poll on the channel page. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you aren't already. And we'll throw out some topics that you can vote on for the next chat and hang with JAMI Hart. Hail to the king, baby. Evil Dead is so legit, Brent. It's I think it's the best horror franchise of all time. The most consistent, the best films. I mean, Halloween's my favorite slasher franchise. I just love Michael Myers to death. But Evil Dead really does it for me in a very, very special way. We got Eli Cortez hanging out in the chat, one of our great Death Squad mods and channel members. Eli is an incredible pillar of the community here on the Davey Deathray channel and all throughout horror and physical media YouTube. The guy's collection is absurd, people. I've seen probably just some of it, and it's wildly impressive. And Eli has sent me so many amazing gifts and steel books and TV shows and Blu-rays and just I don't know. He's filled up my cup as far as physical media goes within this last 6 months or so. Let's see who else we got going on. I am so far behind in the chat, aren't I? I feel like I am. RC, yeah, you guys rock for knowing the little things, and that's why so RC Colorado, I'm guessing you're new here. That's a really good reason to sub to the channel because I make a couple promises to everybody here within the community. I'm not going to talk about something if I'm not passionate about it because I think people in the chat can spot a friggin' phony and spot somebody that's not being genuine. So that's my promise. I'll always be genuine. You're always going to get 100% Davey here. And yeah, the things that I love, man, I'm a massive nerd of that stuff, whether it's music, which I'm a huge music head. It's just tough to talk about music on YouTube unless everyone knows what albums you're talking about. But, when it comes to film, yeah, I've read the Evil Dead Companion. I've seen these movies dozens of times, watched the commentaries probably a handful of times for each one. And yeah, the little things is kind of what makes it fun, I think. Yeah, Henrietta in the basement. And, maybe it looks like JAMI's almost ready to come back in. We did give Ted Raimi his praise for his performance as Henrietta. And I can't think of the actress's name now, but the actress that plays like human Henrietta when the possession leaves, when the Deadite, tries to fake them out, I think she does a really good job too. She's got that sincere, sweet voice, and then it goes right back to the taunting and the dead by dawn, dead by dawn. Are you all good to go, JAMI? Give me a thumbs up if you are, and I'll bring you back in. Excellent. Boom. There she is, folks. Hell yeah. I just go ahead.
Being short sucks. Being short really sucks. My son is super tall, though. He's 6'4", so he comes in here and he fixes it.
What? How does that work? How tall is your husband?
5'10". It's recessive Viking.
Whoa. It is. Yeah. So that is odd. In my parents aren't, particularly tall. My dad's like 5'9", 5'10", but two of us, like I'm about 6 foot, between 6 and 6'1", and then I have a brother that's about 6'1" as well. But yeah, I mean 6'4". Holy crap! Now you're really talking.
I know. I don't know how it happened. Honestly, I just figured, it's the recessive Viking genes in my blood.
Something like that.
A little Swedish in there too. So.
And if you either one of you have, tall parents, like sometimes it can skip, you and your husband, if either of your parents are tall, that can skip.
They're not.
Wow.
It's so weird.
All right. Recessive Viking genes it is.
Yeah. My mom was 5'4" and my dad was 5'11".
Oh, okay.
Honestly, there's no real tall people in my family. I think well, actually there is, but he lives in Sweden. So
there you go.
He's the only one in my family that's like 6'4". So it could have come from Scott's side, my husband.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's wild how all that stuff works. And we got Prince in the chat saying what's up, says today is a great day to be grateful for everything. Greetings and salutations. Get rid of toxicity, everyone. There you
Agreed.
go. That's a very poignant statement for my life right now, Prince. So I really, really do appreciate that. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone else that jumped in here. I had briefly talked about, I'm sure you heard me talking about not only, Ted Raimi's Henrietta performance, but I really like the sweet old lady that plays her,
Yeah.
telling the story of like, so odd that it would be snowing in August or whatever it was, something crazy. Like, is that what it is? August? September? Okay.
Yeah.
September. Yeah.
Yeah.
And singing the, what's the song? It's the one that they do in Dumb and Dumber, right? Oh no, it's that one. There you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna buy you a mockingbird. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
That always makes me think of Dumb and Dumber though. The mock. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, jumping back into Evil Dead 2, I do think so. It's funny, Jack Black says in High Fidelity that the soundtrack kicks fucking ass, but it's really funny because Evil Dead 2, I don't think the soundtrack stands out as much as the first, and certainly not as much as Army of Darkness with the Danny Elfman theme.
Right.
But I do love like in Evil Dead 2, they sort of figured out like, how can we, Evil Dead is just sort of like, oh, each person just gets sequentially possessed. That's just what happens in the first film. But I loved in this movie, they add a little adventure, even though it's pretty much just in the cabin. We've got our hillbilly people that come in, and then Ash having to find the pages in the book that they like throw down into the cellar. Like I love that whole thing. It is kind of nice that even though the movie for like the first 1/3 or so is pretty much just Bruce driving himself crazy, that they sort of expand the lore a little bit. They're setting up Army of Darkness very cleverly there, which is I totally understand why some people would just start with this movie.
Yeah, it makes sense because really there's no reason to watch the first one unless you're a huge horror fan, you're just curious, you want to know what it's all about. But really it stands on its own, that first one. What was I going to say? Oh, that girl, Bobby Joe, she was Sam Raimi's girlfriend at the time, I think.
Oh, really?
She was in One Life to Live, and she played Blair.
Oh, see, my mom was a Days of Our Lives gal, so I'm more familiar with that one for sure. And I'm trying to find, but all those, especially in the 80s and 90s, the soap operas were just amazing. Dan Hicks, I can't leave Dan Hicks out, a longtime staple of Sam Raimi films. He plays he's sort of like featured in Spider-Man 2 on the elevated train scene. And what else? There's something else that I've seen him in recently that I really enjoyed him in. Let's see here. Oh no, it was Intruder, which is a 1989 film. That's produced by Raimi and all those guys. I think he's actually really charming in this. Like, I love his hillbilly character. These pages don't mean squat and all that stuff. This movie, Evil Dead 2 is so much fun. Guys, I know I say that Evil Dead is my favorite in the franchise, the Evil Dead from 81, but man, I could not fault anyone for picking this as their favorite in the franchise. It's a fucking blast.
It is. It's so fun. I love it when he ends up in the basement too, and he like melts or something. And then when Ash goes down the basement, he finds him, and the only way you can tell it's him is because of those overalls he's wearing. I was like, that is so gnarly and gross.
Oh my god! When he gets stabbed accidentally by what's her name, the professor's daughter. So stabbed accidentally, and he just has that look of like, are you serious? And then I love when he gets pulled down by Henrietta, the way they have that like watery blood that's just like spraying everywhere. It's
so
one of those
red.
Like,
it's so red.
I love that about movies like this. I feel, I know that Bad Taste by Peter Jackson was influenced by The Evil Dead, and I think Dead Alive is influenced by Evil Dead too, because it just seems to like celebrate that explosion of blood and just that mixture of you know, the horror and the comedy, and just being so over the top that it becomes funny. It's almost, you know, like what we see in like Terrifier is so over the top that it's trying to make you cringe. It is trying to look realistic enough to make you kind of bite your hand, the way that the pencil in the ankle makes you bite your hand. But then in Evil Dead 2, it's just like, oh, we're not actually trying to scare you. Like, we're just trying to have a friggin' blast here.
It's great. I love it. It's so fun, and it doesn't gross me out the way that like Terrifier is just so vulgar, and to me it's like gore for the sake of gore and violence for the sake of violence, and that's not what I am looking for when I watch a movie. I don't want gore for the sake of gore. I need some kind of depth and some kind of lore and storyline. And maybe I would like Terrifier 2, and maybe I'd like Terrifier 3, but I don't know if I'll ever find out, because I hate Terrifier 1 so much that I should watch
Terrifier
it.
2 has some lore in there. What I would recommend, Jamie, and I know guys, this is off topic, but if you know, it's tougher to see the lore in Terrifier, go over to Rockland Graves production. Evan over there puts together really great essays, and he has a video where he breaks, it's probably like a half-hour long, talking about Terrifier 2, and he goes into all the like religious references. So there's stuff in there that he's picked up on that isn't necessarily like in your face as part of the story, but there are more breadcrumbs on all that stuff in Terrifier 3 as well. And I do think that by the time that Damien Leone's done with those movies, I do think that you'd be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, the first one is just a demo tape. 2 through 5 or however many does. Like, I do think that they are working towards a battle between hell and earth, a la the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where it literally is a mouth to hell opens up and there's an actual battle between angels and demons. That's my guess.
That's interesting. And that also is interesting because of his costume is black and white, you know, white and black. It's like evil versus
exactly good. Yes.
Cool.
And then even in Terrifier 3, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, it does feel like Art isn't even the main villain. It's almost like he's just a tool of this demon. It's like Vicky, the disfigured woman from the first movie, sort of becomes, I would say, the main villain in Terrifier 3. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the next one. But we can get back to Evil Dead 2. But really quick, Trisha McMasters dropped a $1.99 super chat and says, "My brother made it. Brent loves Evil Dead."
Awesome.
You know what? And I love you guys for sharing this with people that love this franchise. I mean, RC Colorado is new here, so I know that they are an Evil Dead fan. Of course, Trisha's brother Brent is here for Evil Dead. So thank you guys so much for sharing the love and sharing the channel. And yeah, Jamie, I think we peaked at like 41 people in the live stream, and we've got like 36 watching now, which is great. Denise Wheat is jumping in. She was just gifted a membership from Happy Sanjo. So welcome on in, Denise. You're kicking it with the Death Squad. She loves the show.
Coy, you are so generous. You are so generous. I love that.
I
love how
Coy
generous
is amazing.
Coy and Cody and Liana are. They're so generous. And I love that. It brings us all together when people are like that. I love that.
Yeah. And, when you gift memberships, maybe somebody just watched a video on the channel. Maybe they caught a little bit of a live and never thought of it again. But when you gift memberships, some of those folks are like, oh, shoot, I can like jump in and see some exclusive stuff. And, I think it just incentivizes people to jump back in. So, yeah, guys, Liana, Cody, Coy, holy crap. It's amazing. Gifting memberships is one of the best things you can do for the channel, honestly. It's a great way to grow the channel for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm gonna catch up here on the chat, just make sure I'm not missing anyone new. Speaking of Liana, boom, gifted 5 channel memberships. Holy cow, awesome. Liana. Let's see if YouTube will let me see who those went to. I've got to catch. Oh, Mandy was gifted a channel membership. Live to Fish Rourke gifted. Destination Station, Vinny Vincent, and Graveyard Key were all gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Leanna. Hope you're doing well. I know you're jumping back and forth from Pat That Halloween Movie Collector stream right now, so thank you so much. We got Anthony's Horror and More jumping in. Thank you so much, first timer. You're hanging with the Death Squad.
I know him. He's cool. I like him.
Oh yeah.
I know Des was in here earlier too. I think I missed him though. Hi Des, if you're still there.
I think so. Yeah, I saw him in the chat earlier for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Destination Station. He's cool. I like him. I've done a few shows with him, and he's the one that got me to watch Scream 5 for the first time ever. And I had to go back and rewatch it though, because I missed a lot. Because you know, when you're trying to do a stream and watch something for the first time, you end up missing a ton of stuff. But,
it's really difficult. Yeah. Yeah,
I enjoyed that a lot because he liked seeing my reaction because he's watched it so many times. So I really enjoyed that stream. It was fun. He's a fun guy.
And we got Matt Arnett jumping in, says it's a trilogy, but I look at each movie as its own self-contained thing, if that makes sense. I think, yeah, you absolutely, I think that's the cool thing about them all being like kind of different tinge of horror. You know, it's, I think that's the great thing about The Evil Dead. And I think, Matt, by the way, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time. Everybody make Matt feel welcome. I think this is where we're headed with Evil Dead. We're headed, it's going to be straight up anthology. And I think they started that in 2013 as its own story. Even Ash versus Evil Dead as a TV show is its own thing. And then Evil Dead Rise is its own thing. Evil Dead Burn, which I'm really hoping is like a Salem witch hunt trial period piece. I think that's going to be the coolest thing about the Evil Dead moving forward is these books have existed since ancient times. So they could pretty much do it anywhere and anytime. It'd be really incredible for sure.
I really, really want for them to do a Salem witch trial kind of thing. That's a great idea. I really like that. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, like the maybe the religious folk have opened the book not really knowing what they're getting into, and then the spirits start possessing some of the younger women in the village and others, and then the women get blamed. Like they sort of work it into history. I think that would be a really clever way of doing it.
Yeah, that sounds
good. The gore and muck. Favorite part about the first Evil Dead is how much gore and muck Ash gets blasted with. And man, in Evil Dead 2, Matt, holy crap, he gets I love the dummy. Yeah, all the black blood. He gets the dummy version of headless dummy Linda with the chainsaw. That's really, really funny. His own hand comes after him. You know, it's
the stop motion. It is so good too when she comes out of the ground and is doing that little dance in the yard, and that's when he starts really losing it. He starts losing it. That's right before like everything starts to animate. I just love that. It's hilarious, and there's something about stop motion. I just absolutely love stop motion. I wish they would bring stop motion back. I really do. Because it has its own appeal.
It does. I think sometimes they just don't do it because it's expensive. It's more expensive than CG. But I do think there is a charm to it. I think my favorite part, one of the biggest.
Oh yeah.
What's happening?
We laughed really hard the first time we saw that. I'm sorry. I'm doing it again.
No, you're fine. I think there's just a slight delay. So I don't think it's, whatever. Jamie, you're not being rude. You're great. Everyone in the chat, let Jamie know how awesome she's being right now. She's carrying the show. I love you chat
people.
We will get to Army of Darkness really quick here, but Cody Snyder has gifted 5 channel memberships. Holy cow.
So generous.
Erica, Damien Maffei, the Damien Maffei. Yes, he is a subscriber, and he was on Late Night with the Davey. That's our guy from Strangers Prey at Night and Haunt, and also in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game. And then Frederick McDonald, Sean Thompson, and Trainer DC were all gifted channel memberships. How cool. Now Damien Maffei is a friggin' channel member, whether he likes it or not.
Hey, Mel. Mel's in the chat.
Mel's in the chat. I'm so far behind. Punky's World, one of our great channel members. Welcome to the chat. Let me just catch up here on a couple of folks. There's Mel from My Killer Podcast. Guys, if you don't sub over there, check her channel out. Throw her a sub. Mel is super charming and very, very fun. Some of the best hair I've seen in YouTube.
Yeah, she's got great hair and a really awesome laugh. I love her
Yeah.
laugh, Mel. It's awesome. I always laugh every time she does because it's so infectious. I just love it.
Easily the best looking bunch out of the Rad Pack. Like, no offense to anyone else. It's just, I mean, come on. It's just a no brainer. Like, come on.
Absolutely.
We got Ty Lee jumping in, says stop motion was one of my favorite horror movies last year. Was it actual stop motion or did they do CG? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen
I've
that
not
either.
seen it. I've heard really great things. I know I got to see it, but I've heard really great things. Okay,
Yeah, I have a lot of
so
catching up to do on a lot of things because I've
oh
been
my,
sick for so long. I just missed a bunch of stuff, and I got rid of
yeah.
my cable, which made it hard for me to figure out how to watch things. So, but I'm getting it now.
You just have to pay just as much for cable. Just you spread the money out over all the streaming platforms. It's so
Yeah,
ridiculous now. It's like
yeah,
it still costs like $100 to have all of them anyway. But yeah, I
yeah,
need to watch like Oddity. I need to catch up on that one. I've heard that one's really good.
yeah.
But yeah, let's move on over to Army of Darkness. Jamie's favorite in the franchise.
It is
Jamie,
absolutely my favorite.
tell me why it's your favorite, and give me some like some memories, some the memories of watching this for the very first time.
Okay, so like I said, I saw this in the theater, of course.
You need a
I
T-shirt. It's the Jamie
yeah,
Hart phrase.
yeah, I saw that. It's got to have quotes around it and the little dots because it's got to. I saw that in the theater.
Yes.
That's got to be my first shirt. I went to the movies to see that with my boyfriend at the time, who was the same boyfriend, like I said before, that I had in 7th grade when I saw Nightmare on Elm Street. So it was kind of weird how that all worked out. But we ended up dating again later on when we were a little bit older. Because we worked at the same place. So he told me we're going to go see this movie, Army of Darkness. I'm like, what's that? I had no idea when I was walking into that theater what I was about to see. I didn't know it was, attached to Evil Dead. It took me I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes to really figure it out. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's the vortex. Oh my God, this is Evil Dead. And he's like, I told you that. And I'm like, I don't think I was listening because I didn't really listen. I didn't really listen to him that much.
And I don't think Universal, again, going back to the rights thing, I don't think Universal could use the term Evil Dead. Unfortunately, I think Renaissance still owned the term Evil Dead. So, and I know they wanted to call it like Medieval Dead, and I don't even know if they were allowed to do that, So it's like, it is so crazy. Like, I mean, that must have been wild though. You must have been like totally floored and ready to have a complete blast once you knew it was Evil Dead 3.
Once I realized what I was watching, I was like, oh my God, you should have took my face and held it like this and said, told me exactly what we were going to watch. Because I love the Evil Dead. And I really enjoyed it. We had a really good time. And the theatrical cut is amazing. But I always thought that the theatrical cut needed a few things added. Like I didn't understand, why and Beth David's character, what is her name? Sheila.
Gosh. Sheila. All right, there we go.
I always wondered how that happened so quickly and everything. But last night I watched the director's cut, and I just absolutely fell in love with the director's cut because it gives you more exposition, it gives you more situational stuff going on, so that you can understand their relationship a little bit more. Because I always thought it was so rushed and weird, and I would never date a guy that was like, give me some sugar baby or whatever like that. So I was like appalled by that. And I thought, well, this lady, she's dumb. She's from like the 1300s. She don't know any better. But watching it last night, I get it. This is why I fell in love with it all over again, because I saw that director's cut. I love the ending of the director's cut so much better than the theatrical cut. It is so much more interesting that he does too many drops of that stuff because he miscounts and ends up sleeping through the end of the world, which I just
slept too long.
Yeah. It was absolutely amazing.
It would have been so cool if we got a movie that followed that. And I bet you if they did an actual sequel, because all of these movies, the sequel sort of retcons what happened at the end of the last one. You know,
Right.
because at the end of Evil Dead 2, he goes back to medieval times and they praise him. They say, "Hail." You know, they're like, "Hail, he who was delivered from the sky to whatever, save us from the terrors of the Deadites," or whatever. And then
Yes.
in Army of Darkness, it's the total opposite. It's like, nope, now you're a prisoner. And so I bet if they really got to do Evil Dead 4, they would have used the director's cut version. You know what I mean? It would be
Right.
much more exciting than Ash just working at S-Mart and killing Deadites in an S-Mart, you know?
Right. I always thought that was just kind of corny and weird at the end.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
definitely preferred seeing him take the medicine, go to sleep in that cave, and then wake
Mhm.
up in the way future. I thought that was great. It does cut out, you know, seeing Bridget Fonda there for a little bit too, but
Sure.
I mean, she
Yeah.
doesn't even have any lines or anything, so I
Yeah.
never really thought that mattered much. Um, was he dating her at the time, and that's why she was in it? I always think that. I always think,
Sam?
yeah, like,
I don't know. You just think he casts his girlfriends?
yeah.
I have no idea. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I know nothing about Sam Raimi's romantic history. And I'm pretty sure Bruce has been with the same person for a really long time. And I don't think it's anyone famous, if I recall. So they
Right.
seem to be good Midwestern gentlemen. And Rob Tapper, is he still married to Lucy Lawless? Because I know they
Oh, I
were
thought
together for a really long time.
he's not. Oh, for some reason I thought it was Sam Raimi that was married to Lucy Lawless.
No, I think it's Rob. I think
Oh,
she and Rob have been together for a really long time, and I don't know if they met on Xena or on Hercules or how that all worked out. I could be wrong. Chat, do your research because I
yeah,
clearly didn't
please.
do mine, and let me know.
Because I honestly thought it was Sam Raimi's wife at one point, especially like
Gotcha.
when they were doing Ash versus Evil Dead, because
Yeah,
that's what I thought, but
I'm
I'm wrong sometimes.
I could be totally wrong too. Really quick, I've seen Paula ask this question a couple times, so I wanted to have both of us answer. I would say Mia is my favorite character other than Ash in the Evil Dead franchise. I think Evil Dead 2013 is amazing, and Jane Levy's performance is just one of the best in especially, you know, more recently in horror. How about you, Jamie?
I'm gonna say Henrietta. Specifically Ted Raimi's Henrietta. He's so
Nice.
brilliant. It's so funny, and I just love Ted Raimi anyway.
Oh, he's
So
so
I
good.
guess, yeah, Henrietta would be my second favorite character probably.
He has that. Ted does that Sean Connery accent in Army of Darkness where he's like, "You can count on my steel."
Yes, I
You know?
love that. Also, I noticed that Sam Raimi has a very small cameo in Army of Darkness. It's very small. He's up on the roof. He's got one of the arrows that they light on fire, and that was the only part I saw him. He had one short little line, and that's the only part I saw him in. But I picked Ted out when he was in, you know, the crowd and stuff.
And Sam is the one at the end of Evil Dead 2 that says the "Hail he who is delivered from the skies."
Yes.
That's Sam as well. Yeah.
In the beginning of the original Evil Dead, he's one of them standing on the road waving as they go by when they're singing, and when they almost get in an accident, and she's up against the window like this, which is freaking hilarious. That is so funny. Every time I see that, I'm just like, that is so out of, like, it doesn't belong. So it's awesome. I love it.
Mm-hmm. The demon at the end of Army of Darkness was Patricia Tallman, aka Kick-Ass Barbara from Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead. Is that true?
Oh,
I had no idea. Because she just doesn't look, because she's like short redhead in Night of the Living Dead. So I didn't the one that's like doing the Richard Nixon thing. Is that who you're talking about, Billy?
I think so.
Okay.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I do have a copy of it. I'm due for a rewatch of that movie. I wish I would have brought that movie with me to Scarefest and had Tom Savini sign it, because he was Scarefest, and that would have been cool to have him sign it. But I heard that he's not very nice, so I decided not to go up to his table.
I've heard that too, but I've also heard he's really nice. It's, you know, you never know. It's like, it could be what somebody says to one of these people, or maybe they're just having a bad day and it's not personal, you know?
Right. Oh, I didn't go up to uh, Dylan McDermott's table. He was just sitting there with his face in his phone, and he looked angry, and his line was
Yeah.
super long. And I was like, no way, man. I'm not going to pay money to have him be like rude and snotty. So I just used all my, because I had VIP tickets last time. So I had line skips. I just skipped everybody in the line to go see David Arquette instead.
There you go. I bet he's a sweetheart.
He's like, hey, I use a regular camera. Like I use a camera. I don't use my phone. And he's like, whoa, that's an old school camera. I haven't seen one of those in a while. And I go, yeah, I'm kind of analog. It's like, yeah. He's
analog.
short. He's so much shorter than I thought he was going to be.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, you never know. The way they shoot movies, they can make people look, you know, and then, you know, usually they want eye lines to match. So it's like short actress, short actor, you know. I did not know this. Punky's World says Danny Elfman and Bridget Fonda met while filming Army of Darkness. They are still married to this day. I had no idea they were together. Or if I did, I forgot it.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Wild.
Danny Elfman is amazing. That score is amazing in Army of Darkness.
So good. Yeah.
I just absolutely loved it. What else I like about Army of Darkness is that it's sort of an action film. And I think that it's because it's a period piece. I get into it. I love movies that are like period pieces, like the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So this kind of has that kind of feeling going with it. And I really, really like that about it. And I like how Ash's arc goes in the director's cut better than the original. You can see him going from like, I just don't give a crap to I care. And I absolutely love that. And when he starts actually fighting and he becomes the guy he should be, it's amazing. It is amazing transformation. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, because he's sort of just like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if you're infected with this stuff. Yeah, it is a nice moment for Ash. I think character development, that's one of those things I really love. You know, when I'm watching a film, like I want a good story and I want characters to be different at the end of the film than they were at the beginning of the film. Not every character needs to have some massive arc, but I do want to see some sort of change. And I think when you look back at the great movies and, you know, the films that like really endure for years and decades, it's that story arc. You know, when we talk about movies like Star Wars, like even the villain in Star Wars has a massive arc. Even if you just look at the first 3 movies that came out, there's a huge arc there with Darth Vader. And it's like, those are the things that make us feel like it's got that relatability. And yeah, Ash finally goes from being a cocky asshole to somebody that's like, okay, I'll help these friggin', you know, these dummies, which is, you know, that's what he thinks of them, not me.
I also like how he goes from the second movie into the third movie, and in the second movie he's losing his mind and he's all crazy, but you don't really get to see his like fighting skills really. That starts to develop after he goes, you know, into Army of Darkness. And I love how they make him like a total badass. I love that. I was totally floored by the extra stuff that they put into the director's cut too, because it gives that more exposition as well. You get to see more of him turning into a good fighter. I love it when they shove him down in the pit and he fights everything down there, and they're all like shocked because he's beating the Deadites. And the priest guy comes and says, "Strange one," and he throws him down the thing, and then he just jumps up like this, and it just
it's like click.
Oh, it's great. I love that.
Yes.
So much. And twice we get to hear groovy, because he says it in 2. We didn't mention that. He says groovy. This is my favorite line. Groovy. Yeah. It's awesome. Me and my friend Mark used to say that to each other all the time. Groovy. Yeah,
you know, when he's in the pit fighting in Army of Darkness, he like slices off the one Deadite's hand that like goes up to like does it hit the Smith in the face, or is it an old man and the Smith laughs at him? Is that what it is?
No, I think it hits the Smith in the face.
Okay. Yeah. And I love when he fights the like the she bitch or whatever
Yeah.
with the cauldron and all that, and like putting the gun behind on his shoulder, like does the no look, and then has the like
Yeah.
the orgasm shiver.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just lovely moments there from Ash. Quick shout out to where did it go? Kirk Dilly. There he is. That's one of my brother Matt's really good friends from way back in Juneau, Alaska. When I was a little kid, Kirk would come hang out at our house, and it's probably the person that introduced me along with my brother to Monty Python. So shout out to Kirk. Hope you're doing well, man. Great to see you in the chat. Thanks for jumping on in.
Hi.
Hey. So Army of Darkness, what else? I mean, man, you got the little ashes. So you finally have, because in Evil Dead 2, he's possessed and he's able to like fight off the possession with the necklace that he gave Linda. It sort of helps like clear him out of that. But that is still somewhere in there residing in him, because I'd imagine that's what makes it possible for him to, have the little ashes and then ultimately evil Ash in Army of Darkness, which is sort of a different little bit of a lore touch for Army of Darkness right there.
I really like that whole thing where he's staring in the mirror and his reflection grabs him and pulls him into the mirror.
Yeah.
Because that kind of reminds me a little bit. I have to wonder, since Ted Raimi was in Twin Peaks, I have to wonder if that came from Twin Peaks. The whole evil Ash and good Ash thing, because there's an evil Cooper and there's a good Cooper, and you don't find that out to the very end of the show.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler.
Well, sorry. I'm sorry.
It
has been out for like 30 years, so
I'll forget. I'll forget by the time I watch. I'll totally forget. I promise.
You are gonna love that. I have never ever shown that show to anybody and them go, "Yeah, I didn't like it." They all end up liking it, so I think and really love it.
And people are obsessively into Twin Peaks, so there must be something great about it.
I watched it on reruns and stuff, because back in the day, TV, they had reruns and stuff. So I actually knew the first 2 seasons really well, but it had been years and years and years since I'd seen it, between, the mid 90s and then until they were bringing season 3 out. And I still remembered every detail. And I only saw season 3 once, and I literally remember every detail. I don't do that with everything. So that says something to me about the quality of what he made there. And I know that season 3 is really small. And if Brett's in here, I'm sorry. I know it's small. Did I say small? I meant slow.
Short. Slow.
Brett was saying that he was having a hard time getting into season 2 because it's really slow. And I understand your frustration. Believe me. I was very frustrated with season 3. I still don't have it fully figured out, and I might never ever have it fully figured out, and I wouldn't even be able to. Here goes my camera. Did it again.
What the heck, man?
It's telling me my browser is losing connection. I don't know what that means. My browser.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a strength of connection thing, because StreamYard probably sucks all the bits it can. You know what I mean?
Let me try this. No, it's not working.
Even if you just if you reload, I can see if you come back into the studio green room there, and I can bring you back in.
Right. I have to restart my camera, I guess.
Damn.
I know.
It's okay. I can hold down the chat again.
Okay.
I can hold down the chat, and it'll be a good chance to catch up. It's just an intermission, right, Jamie?
Right, intermission.
All
right.
I'll keep an eye out for you, and I'll catch up with the chat. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us and being so sweet. I know, a couple technical difficulties, but it's so exciting that Jamie's, coming on back to YouTube and content creation, and I'm really excited to have, another channel member or mod on the channel here sometime soon. So I'm going to get to a couple chats here. Paula Fitzhenry says, Davey, if they did another movie, who would you like to see cast? They are working on a new one for 2026, Paula. And honestly, you know what? I would love to see some new performers, like maybe some people who I don't even know. And if you're going to bring in some, some actors that, that I do know, I'm trying to think, because a lot of times we see the same kind of people. Like, I love performers like Mia Goth and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like we just see these people in like movie after movie after movie. So I'd kind of just like to see some fresh faces. I love the movie Thanksgiving. So if they want to put any of those performers in an Evil Dead movie, I'd gladly check them out in an Evil Dead film. And I guess it sort of depends on which way they go. Maybe this is just a little too on the nose, but if they wanted to bring in, for Evil Dead Burn, especially if it takes place during that Salem witch trial, if they want to bring in Anya Taylor-Joy, she really fit that kind of aesthetic in The Witch from Robert Eggers, which was really great. And I love her look, and I love her as a performer. But honestly, Paula, I love seeing new people, because then when I watch the movie, I'm not thinking about like the actor. I'm just like, sucked in. It helps that suspension of disbelief. Let me see here. Ian Abercrombie, who played Spinach Chin, did a lot of films for Full Moon. He's in Seinfeld. He plays Elaine's boss, Mr. What's his name? Gosh, chat, help me out. He's Elaine's boss, where he has her do stupid stuff like go and buy him socks and all that kind of stuff. It's totally ridiculous. Let's see here. The Smith was not in the pit, but yeah, he was like at the top of the pit watching. Yeah. They did make Ash's evil clone the main villain, that's for sure. I saw the orgasm shivers at the Vogue way back in '89. They were so good. It's kind of like Michael Myers in Halloween Ends after he takes care of the cop and he has that like Hulk out moment. Yeah, absolutely. You're goody little two shoes. Goody little two shoes. Love that stuff. Yeah, it's amazing that, YouTube and this channel brings so many people together. It's so cool to see Kirk hanging out in the chat. I gotta watch all things David Lynch. Then I've seen a couple of his movies, but very, very far from seeing the whole filmography. Especially, having just lost him recently, I really do need to jump in and give him his due for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, spoiler alert. I know it's not on topic for tonight, but maybe on the return, I'd love to hear thoughts on Eraserhead and Blue Velvet. Okay, so maybe we can do a little David Lynch talk the next time we come around. JAMI can sort of educate me, and she can sort of lead the conversation, sort of like how we had Coy lead the conversation in regards to the Scream films, jumping into, talking about the original 3 films and all the themes there. Yeah, Kirk, Evil Dead is, man, I think it's the strongest horror franchise out there. So I love that you've got love for it as well. It's a very, very special series to me for sure. Let's see here. Boom! My brother Matt just gifted 5 Davey Deathray memberships. Let's see who those went to. I'm just going to scroll up on the YouTubes here. Let's see. Where are those at? Oh, they're probably down here. Come on, YouTube. Don't make me scroll around forever. Ace Skywalker, Lamontre Gillard, Fung Pai, and Kevin Ketchy. Did I miss one? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yep. 1. So Ace Skywalker, Lamontre, Fung Pai, Paula Fitzhenry, and Kevin Ketchy were all gifted memberships. So that's 15 memberships, I believe, that have all been 16 that have been gifted tonight, because Coy did a one-off one. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the love. Seriously, gifting memberships is the best. Like, it's a great way to not only help the channel financially, but I think it helps the channel grow, because it gives people some incentive to come back and spend a little more time here. And then, you know what? If you guys are like, hey, I want to buy Davey a cup of coffee or help him buy a movie or something like that, you don't want Google to take any of the money, there is a QR code right up there. That just goes straight to me. So feel free to use the QR code if you so please. Of course, really just hitting that like button, sharing the channel with somebody that you know that would dig this kind of content, subscribing, and hanging out with us is that's all free. Those are free ways to really help the YouTuber. Yeah, I think I'm wondering if there's something with JAMI's connection. And she said that the camera is old, so maybe after a while it just sort of times out. looks like she's coming back. So if she gives me the thumbs up, then we'll go ahead and bring her on back here. The return of Twin Peaks does get weird. I gotta watch it all. I am so pumped to check it out. Paula Fitzhenry throwing some love to my brother for the membership. Erica throwing some love for the gifted membership as well. Erica, I think that might have been, gosh, who was it? Was it Leanna or Cody, maybe? King Matthew III, I have not played any Evil Dead game. I know, I'm so terrible. I just love the movie so much, but I've not played the game yet. I mod for a few channels. I'll send in a resume. Well, there you go. You know, Matt, I think the best way to become a mod here is just to continue hanging out and getting to know everyone here. And then, you know, when it comes to mods and everything, usually I mod the people that I get to know, and I know I can trust them because I've seen them mod in other channels as well. So all in due time. How does Matt look more like Davey's brother than Matt? No, that is the Matt. He is my brother. Throwing some love out there for each other. Love to see it. Had to quit the slaughtered lamb. The moderators that control their page politics got under my skin. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I really enjoy their videos on YouTube. I'm not sure. I haven't seen really many politics on there. And honestly, I just try to stay away. You know, I speak vaguely about my political beliefs in the channel because I want everyone to feel welcome, and I'm not too extremist about anything. So I just try to keep it relatively chill and talk about the art and everything like that. Matt, I think you're thinking of Mr. Peterman, but it's the older one. It's the why can't I think of his name? Mr. Pitt. Yes, Mr. Pitt. That's the one. Dominic St. Clair, welcome on into the chat. Dominic, this might be your first time. You're hanging out with the Death Squad. Everybody make them feel welcome. And by the way, it's Kirk Dilly's first time at Dilettante Pictures. First time in the chat, you're kicking it with the Death Squad. Everyone make Kirk feel welcome. It's because of him and my brother Matt that I found out who the heck Monty Python were. So tons of love for those guys. Boom, Kirk just became a channel member. Thank you so much, Kirk. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to jump in and do another members only exclusive stream. Life is kind of wild right now. As you can tell, I'm not in my regular studio, so I'll reach out and let you guys know when the next time we will hop on a members only stream will be. We'll put something together shortly. Jamie, it looks like you're in the studio. Are you all good to go? Hell yeah. Boom, there she is. There's our gal.
I'm back.
What's happening?
Last.
Hopefully it will. You know, and we can, we've been chatting for almost a couple hours. Just got to give some love to Brooke Scarlett there. Hey, how you doing, Brookie? One of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. Matt, they can't stop talking about Twin Peaks. Let's not forget that Lara Flynn Boyle was in Twin Peaks. That's enough reason to watch right there.
Yes, Donna. Yes, I know. And every time Twin Peaks comes up, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I love Twin Peaks." I really think you should watch the show. It's so good. And
I gotta jump in.
Destiny is obsessed with it now, and Brett liked it. So I think you'll like it. I really do.
Yeah, and Big Rod was saying that it would be fun to have, like, maybe the next time you come on the channel, have you know, some David Lynch talk. So maybe I can catch up on a couple more of his films. I think I've only seen a few. But then also it could be sort of like the way Coy kind of led the Scream talk. Like you could sort of give me the education on everything, and that could be really fun. Oh no.
Yeah, I might just leave my camera off because there's something going on where it's not
incompatible
with Chrome.
Gotcha.
And I don't know what's the problem. This is the first time I've ever had a problem in my camera. It is an older camera, but I don't understand why it's not working right.
No worries. Yeah, I think we can just roll with this right now. I mean, there are plenty of people on YouTube that never show their face. And we've had your lovely face on for quite some time tonight. So yeah, we can just kind of keep on moving along. We've been chatting about Army of Darkness for a little bit here. Is there anything we're missing, or any sort of closing thoughts you want to have on there before we jump into the 2013 Fede Alvarez film?
No, not really. I think I covered it all. Basically that I really enjoy the whole well, I did want to talk a little bit about the splitting, like when
Oh
all the
yeah, yeah.
little guys are running around
Yes. Yes.
and there this in the director's cut, it's a little bit longer. And I really
Mhm.
enjoyed that because I thought that whole thing was funny. It's like a Gulliver's Travels kind of thing
Yes.
going on. And
Yeah.
I like it too when he starts realizing there's something coming out of his shoulder and
Mm.
he's like, he starts seeing the eyeball. The eyeball's
Yeah.
gnarly. It is so gross.
The vagi. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's very. It is very vaginal.
And then he's like, I'm the bad ass. You're the good ass. You're goody
Yeah.
little two shoes, goody little two shoes. And I just absolutely love that. It's so funny and
Yes.
cute. And it's, I don't know, I just really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. I love that too, and they get so much more. There's that whole Three Stooges, that Gulliver's Travels meets Three Stooges, when he's like, how about some hot chocolate, huh? And just like
Yeah.
tries to boil him out. Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things is when Evil Ash like rolls up to the front of the line or whatever, and they just have that like that dummy
Yeah.
skeleton next to him that's just like bobbing all over the place, just ridiculous. Like that movie has so much fun, especially when he tries to say like Sally Forth and his jaw
His
keeps
jaw
on
keeps on.
falling
Yeah.
because
I
his head,
love
it's
that.
basically, there's like a rope tied around his head to keep the jaw on. It's
Yeah.
so
It's
absurd.
so funny. That's because he got shot in the mouth when Ash shoots him, he shoots him right in the face.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just love that. And I think that the skeletons are amazing. Their lines are
Mhm.
hilarious. The stop motion again is just
Yeah.
absolutely top notch. And they just don't do stuff like that in movies anymore. And I kind of miss that.
Yeah.
It's got
I
its
do
own
too.
appeal. It's got its
I
own
do.
charm and appeal, and
Yes.
I really love that.
Oh yeah. And
Oh,
their
I should
RC call.
mention this
Yep.
picture here is my rebellion picture. See, it says please refrain from smoking, and I'm
Yes.
smoking. Yeah, this is in Vegas.
Okay. I figured it
you're
must
not.
have been.
Yeah, you're not supposed to smoke there. And we had just come out of dinner, and my husband goes there every so often for work, and I had traveled with him on this one, and I just thought it was so funny because you're not supposed to smoke, and I'm standing right there smoking, and so
Yeah,
he snapped
that's
that picture.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And the skeletons, I know that I believe it was Slasher Fred that had said it a couple times there in the chat earlier, just that Ray Harryhausen, like Jason and the Argonauts kind of influence there. I think that's the really cool thing about Raimi. We had mentioned, I think Tyler had said it was the Max Fleischer cartoons, I think is what I was trying to reference, and you were mentioning with the Tom and Jerry. But I love
Mhm.
that Sam Raimi sort of wears those influences and pays that homage. It's I mean, if you're gonna do a medieval movie with skeletons, you might as well kind of try to capture that Ray Harryhausen stop motion.
Right.
Yeah.
um do you want to save Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise for another show?
We could do that. Yeah, we could have you. Do you guys want to do? So we can throw out I could do like a poll for all the subscribers to vote on, where we could put some topics. So yeah, guys, we could. I mean, we've been going here for a couple hours, and we could sort of do kind of like what we did with Koi, where we do like a part 2, and
Yeah.
you could watch Evil Dead Rise. Are you familiar? Have you seen the show?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we could talk Evil Dead 2013, Ash versus Evil Dead, and Evil Dead Rise, and then maybe we could even talk a little bit about the potential future. Maybe by the time you come back on, we'll have another little breadcrumb from Bloody Disgusting or something like that about the future of the Evil Dead franchise.
Yes. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I did
And
watch Evil Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead. That was on the same night as Twin Peaks season 3. So I would watch Twin Peaks season 3 on
nice.
Showtime and then immediately turn over to Stars and watch Ash versus Evil Dead. So that was a great summer.
Hell yeah. I need to revisit the show. It's been a while. I remember loving so much of it like really hit for me, but we can talk about that next time around. And I guess it's time to get a new camera, huh?
It
Kind of
might be.
exciting.
This is an old LG C20 or C920 or something like that. I've had it for like 7 years. It's never failed me until today.
Well, I can
haven't
send
used
you
it for a long time, so
I can send you like the model. I just have a Logitech one. It really wasn't like I don't know, not to say that every stream I have is a 4K quality stream because of, you know, connection, but it is technically a 4K HD camera. And I don't even think, guys, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, you think it's going to cost you a lot. Stuff is so affordable now. Like this camera was like $120, like just 120. Like that to me, I don't think that ain't nothing, you know.
This one was $45 refurbished back in 2017. So
There you go.
And my husband is an engineer, and whenever I need some kind of tech equipment or whatever, I just tell him, you go find it, because he always gets the deals. So
yeah, and I did, you know, if you look it up, I can send you a link for Amazon or something. We can get that cooking for next time. So yeah, guys, you know, it sounds like we will you know, sort of start wrapping things up now. You all have been amazing. We had so many people here in the stream throwing the love. Jamie, I know you're not on camera, but I do want to roll through all the super chats. So we could just say, you know, goodbye together here. You know, I'm not going to boot you out or anything.
okay.
Let me do this. There we go. So our names are back on there. And yeah, I just wanted to celebrate the super chats and channel membership giveaways and everything like that. So we got Trisha McMasters dropping a 199. Happy Sanjo with a 499. Jigsaw with a 5. Matt Conway with a 499. Trisha with a 499. Happy Sanjo with another 499. Cody with a 5er. Jigsaw with another one, 5er. Dean Renner with 999. Happy Sanjo gifted a membership. Trisha dropped another 199 for her brother jumping in. Leanna gifted 5 memberships. Cody gifted 5 memberships. Matt Conway gifted 5 memberships. Kirk Dilly became a member. And Matt, my brother, became a member as well. Oh, and Big Rod gifted a Davey Deathray membership. Where is that? Where is that, Big Rod? Let's see who got that one. Where is it? Come on, y'all. I hate that YouTube makes me do this.
I know.
MAGA Cat was gifted a membership by Big Rod. So there we go. And I'm so pumped. I'm going to reach out to Damian Maffei on Insta and be like, hey, bud, because we have a little DM thing going. Be like, hey, bud, welcome to channel membership.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. Well, this has been...
I just wanted to say real quick, I wanted to say to chat, I love you guys. You rule. And not only in this chat, but the people that frequent other chats that I'm in, you guys are awesome. You're so generous. And we couldn't do this without you. So, you know, I just want you guys to know that I just love you.
Yeah, you know, I try to say it. I try to make sure I say it every time. You guys fuel the channel, you know, whether or not you're able to jump in on the live or you're watching after the fact. I know some people watch these when they commute to and from work or on a lunch break or whatever. It's you know, everything that you guys do fuel what we do here on the channel. You know, the subscribers, the Patreon members, the channel members, and of course what you guys are doing for the channel with the super chats. It's amazing. You know, there are a lot of things that have come from starting a channel. Some things have been great, some things have been sad. You know, we recently lost one of our great community members, Raymond Malaber, but we were all able to come together and do something really amazing for him and his family. And you know, be able to pay for a burial spot next to his grandparents, which is amazing. When you know, his insurance would only cover a cremation, and now he's going to have an eternal resting spot next to his grandparents, which is such a beautiful thing. And you know, that's you guys too. And not only that, it's YouTube is every month since having access to channel membership and super chats every month has been, you know, more and more a supplement to my personal income, which is amazing. The closer we get to that, the more content I'm going to be able to create for you guys, and the more that we're going to get to hang out. So you guys make all of that possible. And yeah, I mean, I love you guys. You know how I feel. When I'm at my lowest, you guys lift me up. And when I'm feeling great, I get to extra feel great with you guys here. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this time around. Please make sure to like the stream, share the channel with somebody if you think they would enjoy this kind of content. Make sure you're subbed, hit the notification bell if you want to make sure like a half hour before I go live that you get that alert. I've seen a couple people that are like, I didn't know you were going live, but if you hit that bell, you'll know that I'm going live. You could become a member for just 99 cents a month, gains you membership. So
it's a good deal, guys.
Very affordable.
It's amazing.
And if you're watching this after the fact, make sure to leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the Evil Dead franchise. What did we miss? Do you think we're wrong about some stuff? What's your favorite movie in the franchise? All that kind of stuff. Let Jamie and I know, and we will be back for part 2 with you guys because y'all met the super chat goal for this evening. So, appreciate y'all so much. And yeah, we'll get Jamie back on very, very soon. We'll plan that as soon as she has a new camera. And then I don't know, things are sort of a little bit up in the air with me right now. I really want to do another stream with you guys this weekend. I might put together like a little watch party for tomorrow or something. I'm not sure. We'll figure something out, but I know that I owe the members an exclusive stream. So guys, keep an eye out for that. And until next time, that's been Jamie Hart, and I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.
Bye.